All right, so this is going to be the first programming tutorial out of hopefully many. I want to make these to give myself something productive to do while we're all stuck at home and hopefully allow some other people to learn from it. So I'm going to start with two very basic programs in Python, which is a great language. It's very balanced. When I say balanced, I mean in difficulty of learning. It's quite easy to learn, but it's also very useful. So it's not like a simple gimmick language that's never used in the real world. This is a very well-known language. It's used in tons of different companies and proper software that you see on the market. So this is a great place to start in programming. So the way I want to do this is rather than going and saying, this is how you make a variable, this is how you print to the screen, instead I want to do something where I'll write a program and explain what I'm doing line by line. That's how I learned how to program, and I think that's definitely the best way. So hopefully you learned something. I'm going to start off with the traditional program, which is the Hello World program. This is very simple. This is traditional in any programming language as your first program in that language. So what this does is it just prints Hello World to the screen. Very basic. And I'll go through that in Python. It's super simple. It's just one line. And here's how that goes. Print, open parenthesis, open quote, hello, and we'll do proper grammar, comma, world, do an exclamation point here. Save that, and that's your first program. So I'll go into how to run these programs more later on. The reason I'm doing that is because there are tons of videos out there talking about how to actually run a program, how to install Python. If that's needed, I'll do that down the road, but right now I just want to stick with this. I'm on Fedora Linux, so that makes it very easy for me. I'm in the directory where this file is saved, and I'll even show you that. So if I cat hello, if you're unfamiliar with Linux, don't worry, cat just prints the output, or the contents of a file to the screen. So you can see it's the same thing, right? You can't see my finger. It's the same thing here as it is up here. So in order to run that, Python3, hello world, and I'm going to use tab completion, and right there it prints hello world. So very simple. You can even expand this and say anything you want. So we'll just print a bunch of Q's. But this is just me proving you can print whatever you want from this. After you save, you run it again. It's exactly how it works. It just prints whatever you write to the screen. You revert that. And now I'm going to get into something very slightly more advanced, but not by much. So this is a hello name program. So instead of saying hello to the world, it'll say hello to the user. So it's a bit more personal, and it uses more functions. So there are simpler ways to write this, but I'm going to write it in the easiest way to understand. It's a couple more lines, but still pretty basic. So we're going to start off with the same function, print, and we're going to say, what is your name? Name, and I'll go back through all of this once I'm done. All right, so that's that. So basically what this is doing, print what is your name, just like I showed before, it'll print that to the screen. Nothing special about that. So what this does right here, if you're unfamiliar with programming, I'll get into this more later, but this is what's called a variable. So that stores information. And this function input allows the user to type something in. So then whenever the computer, after this line, whenever the computer sees name, like right here, instead of just seeing the word name, or in this case gibberish, if this line isn't here because the computer won't understand it, it'll instead see whatever's entered. So this right here is very similar to this line up here in that it's just the same print function, but instead it uses something called concatenation. That's what these plus signs are. So it's basically saying tack this on after the string. So this is what the computer is seeing right now. Well, you know what I mean by that. Obviously, it's not going to see, it's going to see ones and zeros, but I'm going to show you what it looks like to the program. So say you enter in Matt, like how I would. It looks just like this. So what the computer does is it sees these plus signs, and it just concatenates or combines it, just like that. So then it prints this line right here. All right, so then I'll show you. If we run that, go back here, Python3 just like before, but instead hello name.py, which is the name of the file. If I press enter, it says what is your name? I'll type in Matt. It says hello Matt. So that's a super basic example. Again, I'll show you. You can type in whatever you want. We'll do Q's again, and it'll say hello with a bunch of Q's. So very simple. Those are two very basic programs. I look forward to making more of these with some more advanced concepts and programs. Just really fast, I want to talk about the text editor I'm using. I'm using Atom. Atom is very basic the way that I have it set up. You can expand it if you want, but I don't really like anything fancy. I just like syntax colorization, which is this right here. So it makes everything a different color. It's much simpler on the eyes, or rather much easier on the eyes, because it's not just all white text, which would be very hard to differentiate. You can use, if you're interested, more advanced, what's called an IDE, an integrated development environment. You can use PyCharm, which is built specifically for Python. That's a great one, definitely. That has some added features, but I personally don't need anything fancy, so that's why I just stick with the basic text editor. Obviously, if you want, you can use Notepad. I'm on Linux, so I don't have Notepad, but I wouldn't use that in the first place. All right, hope you learned something, and I look forward to making some more of these. All right, be safe.